Yeah, it seems to me that one of the points you make is that it has become a national credo, not just for Republicans, but as you just said, also for Democrats, and that to not pay at least lip service to this national credo is akin to political suicide.
Exactly. And even today, even today's presidential candidates are very hesitant to talk about this in a direct way. They're talking about it a little more. I think there's a change. But they still hesitate. They're still restrained.
So now going forward from what you've just said, a cynic could say, so what do you suggest? I mean, do you want to take us back to the Great Society programs, to the New Deal? I mean, what would you concretely, what are some of your suggestions of how we could tackle this major crisis, I think?
I don't think looking back is what we should be doing. I don't think we should say, oh, I love the ideology of the 1960s. All we need is the Great Society. I think we've got to look at what we have today. What we know we need today is a pre-K system. We know we have to invest in infrastructure. We just can't live this way anymore. We know we need an energy policy. We know we have to equalize K through 12. We just can't get away without doing that. We know probably we have to make it a little easier to go to college for kids financially anyway. It's been too much of a class system. And we know we have somehow to deal with health care. Those are, to me, the main issues. There are a few other issues. There's re-regulating finance. We've seen the consequence of this, which was an outgrowth of this whole idea. Government is bad. Stop regulating. And who ended, finally, the Great Depression financial regulation? Bill Clinton. So there's a direct line between ending those regulations and the crisis we've been going through. Do I think some regulations need to be changed? Some regulations need to be ended? Sure. They outlive their purpose. Some regulations are bad and too inhibiting. But, you know, people, I saw a piece recently, if not today when we were doing this, having this chat, about the costs of the Sarbanes-Oxley regulations, which were imposed after the Enron scandal. What about the benefits of those regulations? What about the benefits of making things transparent so we don't have crises? Or so people invest better because they have better information? It's remarkable that in these times we don't talk about the benefits of those regulations, as if there are none. It's ridiculous. And if we had better regulations, maybe this current crisis wouldn't have cost us $1 trillion. It's a lot of cost.
Talking about the current crisis and the calls for government bailouts, etc., etc. I mean, what is your stance toward that? I mean, should government play an active role, bailing out, Bear Stearns, etc.?
You know, I was at a meeting the other day with a well-known conservative economist, used to be chief economist of a major international organization, talking about how this crisis really hasn't been as bad as people thought. And I sit there and think and eventually say something about how the Democratic Congress, and then George Bush joined, immediately put forward a fiscal stimulus package of rebates and spending of $170 billion, acted quickly. The Bernanke of the Fed cut interest rates, but also provided credit, which was as important or more important to these institutions. And that foreign central banks did similarly. If the crisis doesn't get worse, a lot of it has to do with the fact that we already acted rapidly. It wasn't as if we were sitting around. I think, as of this discussion, we have to be doing something about trying to stem the possible flood of defaults, which the government has the power to do something about. Washington, the Democrats have a plan, the Republicans have a much less potent plan, in my view. Something has to be done quickly. If we do that, I think we'll be okay. Are bailouts okay? They have to be done intelligently, but yeah, will it cause people to take more risk in the future? I think that's a marginal issue. People take risk when there's money to be made. They forget the last crisis. They forget if they got burned in the last crisis. And just, by bailing them out doesn't mean they'll forget even faster next time. You forget when all that tempting money is out there.
Yes. Thank you. Reading your book, it becomes very apparent that you feel very passionate about many of these issues. And so my last question to you is, what do you hope to achieve with the writing of your book? I mean, do you think, what kind of intervention do you plan to make in this whole discussion? Also, looking a little bit at the election and all the debates going on.
Well, I would like to make a small contribution to a changed attitude in America that government is useful, necessary, and constructive, and always has been in America. In fact, we've done worse when we've had these kinds of attitudes we've had in the last 30 years, that government is bad under all purposes. I would like people to recognize that taxes should be higher in order to support programs we badly need, pre-K, infrastructure, a change in the healthcare system. I'd like people to know that this is really a wealthy country. I'd like the candidates to remind people of that. I get sad and I'm somewhat dismayed when people think we can't afford things. We can't afford foreign aid, you know. We can't afford to do this for pre-K for people. We can't afford to make K through 12 of equal quality in America. We are still the richest country in the world per person, basically. We have a lot of money to do things. And that's what I would like people to start remembering and get away from this. You know, the evidence, there is no evidence that high taxes and big government hurts economic growth and prosperity. High taxes and big government, if it leads to healthy programs, which it often does in many countries, can promote prosperity and incomes, make us all better off financially, and make us feel we are being treated fairly and believe in the American promise. So if I have one message, it is that we have the wealth to handle our problems. But we've got to get past this ideology, this simple, overly simple view of our history, which didn't occur the way people thought. This media, and the media allowing politicians and others to make outrageous comments about taxes and government that are simply not supported by the facts, and to let economists get away with studies that may look technically correct, but the minute you add another variable or change something around, they just fall apart. Let's remember that economists also have vested interests and points of view, and let's not let them get away with it. Let's hear the other side, and and I think I present the other side in this book.
And finally, are you hopeful, given the discussions that are going on in this country, that many people are saying that healthcare is the issue number one, that people are very concerned about having enough resources to pay for their children's education. Given all these discussions, there seems to be sort of a groundswell to be happening, realizing what role government has to play. So are you hopeful on the whole that we are looking forward to more change, or more purposeful government? I am not. I'm probably anti-Pollyanna-ish, maybe too much so. There is something changing, though. People have begun to realize it's not working. Whatever that simple solution was that came out of the Reagan years and is propounded, has been ongoing under the Bush 1 and 2 administrations, and to some degree Clinton participated in. It's just not working. And people are looking for something that works. My plea is, judge government not by some ideology of good and bad, but whether it works or not, whether it contributes, whether it's necessary. It is. It's the agent of change. It's how you get things done. Not only how you get things fair, which is every bit as important as prosperity, if not more so, but how you get things done. Wonderful. And on that note, I want to end the conversation and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Brigitte. I appreciate it.
Okay.